Almost. Hi, everybody. Good evening. Lisa and I say hi and welcome you to our EP meeting tonight. And we're kind of excited because this is a big bird migration season, and we have the Northern Virginia Bird Alliance here to talk about bird safety, Northern Virginia, or NOVA. And before we start on that, I just thought I'd ask everybody if they've had an opportunity to take a look at their bird migration dashboard. It's kind of an exciting thing that's going on now. You can look at it and you can see how many birds have crossed through Fairfax County each evening. And last night they recorded it as around 1,900 that passed through. So we'll have a few announcements at the end of our program. But since one of our EP members did such a great job last month introducing our speaker, I'm going to go back to Jerry and I'm going to ask if he can introduce our speaker tonight. So take it away, Jerry.
Geez, I hope I can live up to expectations here.
As long as you get my name right, we're fine.
Let me see. Oh, Blackburn, that's your name. Okay, I got it here. So hi everyone, and I want to introduce you to Tom Blackburn. Tom and I served together on the board of directors for the Northern Virginia Bird Alliance, which used to be known as the Audubon Society of Northern Virginia. It's still the local Northern Virginia chapter of the Audubon Society. Tom was on the board for 9 years, and that's the term limit for serving on that board. He timed out this past June, the end of June, but he continues to serve as chair of NVBA's advocacy committee, and he also spent a number of years as president of the board of directors. So he's heavily involved in the organization, and one of the major programs that NVBA is involved in is called Bird Safe Nova, which, as Tom will explain, is a partnership between a number of different Northern Virginia organizations. I won't give away any of the thunder of what he's going to present, but we thought that it would be particularly timely to have this presentation now, because one of the things that they focus on is how individuals, businesses, and other entities can make the skies safe for birds, especially during migration season, which, as Winnie said, is right now, right above us. So with that, I'm just going to turn it over to Tom, and we will have time for questions and answers afterwards. Tom, it's all yours.
Okay, thanks very much. I'm going to bring up my PowerPoint here and we'll get started. All right, Bird Safe Nova. If I click there, I'll do better. Okay, we're going to talk about 3 things tonight. First is lights out during migration, and we'll explain why. The second topic is bird safe windows, trying to reduce the appalling death toll from birds hitting windows. And third is our Restore the Night campaign to help slow down, I don't think we'll ever reduce it, the amount of light pollution that we've got, which is threatening to our whole environment. So let's start with, why are we caring about this? Well, the problem is that birds are in serious trouble. We've lost 3 billion of the 10 billion birds in North America, since 1970. So that's 1 billion birds every 17 years. Our population has declined. You can figure out how much that is per day if you want, but it's a lot. So 1970, we had 10 billion. We're projecting a bit here. 1987, we were down to 9 billion. 2004, it was 8 billion. 2020, 7 billion birds. So if this trend doesn't stop, where are we going to be as we go forward? Another 17 years? Let's see. 2037, 6 billion. 2054, 5 billion. 2070, 4 billion. And that's if things don't get even worse than they are right now. That's just a straight line projection. What are the biggest causes for bird the decline in our bird population? Well, the worst one is something I don't have time to talk about tonight, and that's cats. Cats kill 2.4 billion birds a year. About 60% of that, about 50% of that is due to feral cats, but the other 50% is due to everybody's home tabby cat who gets outside and kills birds. I spent over 2 years on a state mandated task force trying to find a way to work to begin reducing that carnage, and we were not successful. So now we're on to the second biggest killer, which is birds hitting windows. So we're going to talk about that in more detail in a minute, but we're going to talk about migration first. Our Windows campaign is focused primarily on tall buildings. Tall buildings with bright lights are really, really big threats to birds during migration. And I'm sure everybody can recognize this building. What is particularly galling to me is that Capital One, when this building was constructed, got a big award because of their light controls on this, which blank out the top and late at night and automatically turn out all the lights except interior lights and safety lights late at night. Well, I took this picture at 5 a.m. Obviously, it wasn't working. They've overridden the automatic lights issue. And here's one that Bill gave me. Here's another one. This is a new building, not built yet all the way, I guess. But that giant blaring J.W. Marriott thing on the top, plus if they don't get these lights shielded, is going to be another huge problem for us. So why are lights a problem? 80% of our birds are migrating at night. How many birds is that? Let's take a look. We've got, now this is a thing from Birdcast, and if you haven't followed up on this, Birdcast uses weather radar and a lot of sophisticated computer programming to determine the numbers of birds flying, and actually more than that, their altitude, their speed, and this is taken probably 10 or 11 o'clock at night. You see there's no birds flying over in the west. That's because it's not late enough for them yet. And the brighter the colors are, the more birds are migrating. So we had 100 million birds come through Northern Virginia, typically every spring, and every fall 160 million because they all had babies, and they're flying back through right now. September 30th, there were 4.7 million birds crossed Fairfax County. Now, those numbers vary a lot depending on weather conditions. This was a great night for it. I think Winnie said earlier that there were 1,900 birds flew through the county last night. It depends on the winds. Here, they had 390,000 birds flying at once at 2 a.m. Their average speed was 40 miles an hour, which is way faster than the birds can fly. So there was a good southern wind that was blowing them along. You can go and follow this up anytime you want on the on their dashboard. And I've got the link down there, and somebody can put it in the chat if anybody would like to. But you can just change the date anytime you want. That is a lot of birds. And so what's the problem? Birds are attracted by lights on buildings, especially with tall buildings. And when that happens, they can crash into the buildings, or they can fly around and around the lights and exhaust themselves, or they'll maybe land near the buildings when they get tired of, instead of heading on to their next migration stop. And then they're going to get up in the morning, and we'll talk about what happens when they get up in the morning and start looking for food in a couple of minutes. This is a great example of what can happen. This is, as you can see, the Tribute and Light Memorial. And all those little white dots are birds that have been attracted to those light columns and fly around and around and around it. And they have watchers on the buildings. And if they get too many birds flying around in the light columns, they'll cut the lights off for a couple of minutes. And the birds all disappear head on, and then they'll turn it back on again and wait until they have enough other birds and that trapped, and they'll turn it off again. Here's the extreme examples of what can happen. 1,000 birds hit the single building on October 10, 2023 in Chicago. Philadelphia, throughout the city, 1,000 birds on a single night. And you'll notice it's fall migration that's causing that, because a lot of these birds are young birds and aren't used to the migration route, and they're more readily attracted by lights. The McCormick Place Convention Center had 40,000 birds hit that building since 1978. They have fixed that, and we'll talk about fixing that a little later. But it can be a real problem. And so what's going on is cities around the country are adopting voluntary lights out programs. It's not 100% effective, but the fewer lights you turn out, the better off we are. Migration season is typically 11 p.m. to 6, that should say a.m., shouldn't it? 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. Your peak migration is typically 11 o'clock, 12, 1, 2, 3, and then it tails off after that. You'll see that DC is among those that has a voluntary lights out program. This is what Philadelphia looks like during a voluntary lights out program. Not everybody gets them out, but it's a big improvement over what it normally is. Let's talk about Tyson's Corner. Tyson's, it's not corner anymore. We have 25 buildings over 200 feet tall. All of them, like that Capital One building, spewing out their light over everywhere. Look what's coming. 44 more buildings that same height in the planning stages. That is going to be a huge migration target for those nights on which the birds are flying through the area, where they have a risk of hitting the buildings or exhausting themselves and deciding they're going to stay there in the greenery in the areas nearby, and then they're going to be at risk for window collisions in the morning. So Wildlife Rescue League here in Northern Virginia is still seeking volunteers to monitor buildings for bird collisions this fall. If you're interested or would like to work out on that, it means you're up early in the morning. I think they're doing Tyson's and Reston this year. Reston, of course, has had a large number of buildings pop up in the last while. And so that would be greatly appreciated if you can help out there. So let's halt for a minute here before I get to this next slide. So let's stop there. So to tell you about our success so far, it has been limited. I worked for weeks trying to connect with building managers and Tyson's Community Alliance, which is sort of an association of buildings owners and some citizens and the like, trying to get inroads to work with them on cutting lights out. I was not successful. I attempted to work with Capital One and got handed from person one, who said, "Oh, this is a great idea. Let me give you to person two." By the time I got to person 5, they wouldn't return my phone calls. So it was not successful. We did get the county Board of Supervisors to pass a board measure which highlighted the issue and asked everybody to turn lights out during migration season. And many of the supervisors also put notes about it in their newsletters. How successful, I don't know. I can't go around and look at individual houses and things like that. But we have tried to make this more higher up people's list as something they need to pay attention to. We'll still work on it. Okay. Next topic, lights out for birds. We are concerned about the amount of excess light that goes up into the sky. And so our bird safe windows, which is partly due to lights in the sky and also reflections, that's killing a billion birds a year in this country. Figure it out, how many birds a day are being killed in the United States by window collisions. This appalling photo was actually, it won a bird photography national award this year. This is a picture of the birds that have died hitting windows in Toronto. Toronto was the first city in the country to really work on bird window collisions. They have a program called FLAP, Fatal Light Awareness Program. And they have been very, very vigorous in trying to get lights out during migration and also reducing the number of birds that hit windows for other reasons. Oops, go there. Okay, so houses and buildings up to 3 stories high cause nearly half of the deaths. That's your house and all the low-rise apartment buildings and things like that responsible for maybe 500 million bird deaths a year. And what's the problem? This is a U.S. Geologic Survey building in Reston, and I was asked to go out there because a guy who would walk through that area every morning kept seeing dead birds, and so we went out. This is what you see. This is what a bird sees from outside. Those wonderful trees behind it are reflected in the windows. I hadn't realized the problem, how bad the reflection problem was, until I got tired of having birds occasionally hit the bay window on the back of my house. So I put a ladder up about 20 feet away from the house and climbed up to see what I could see. And I was amazed. I had all these, it looked like a forest. It was in there. It was all due to the reflections. They think they can fly to it. They don't have the visuals to give them a sense that there is something that they can't fly through. And so they hit it. And people think, well, if they hear a bird hit, the bird lands and it goes away, it's probably going to be okay. No, 80% of the birds that hit those windows are going to die. If they don't die immediately, they're going to die from brain bleed or being stunned and being captured by a predator or something of the sort. They'll die. So how can you fix this? Well, screens, for those of us who have screens on our windows, outside the window, not inside, are really pretty effective. The only window I ever had that had birds hitting it was this bay window that was on the screen. I've never had birds hit any of the other windows. That gives the birds enough of a visual signal that they don't hit it. And even if they do, they'll bounce off it instead of hitting that completely impervious glass surface. And so they're much less likely to die. This is what I did on my window. This is very cheap. Acopian Bird Savers is a commercial company that sells basically paracord, which is attached to the top and the bottom of holders, basically, and you just tack it up on your window. I went out and I bought paracord for about $5, maybe $8, whatever, and tacked it all up. And that's not my window, but did something basically similar to that. And you'd think that you always see the paracord. You don't. You mostly look right through it, and it disappears from your vision pretty easily. And I haven't had a bird hit that window since I put that up almost 2 years ago. Other things you can do on your house. Bird crash preventers, that's another commercial product. They use monofilament line, and they tie it on rods that you've just fastened to the top and the bottom of the outside of the window. And you're going to see the spacing here is about the same as on what I did. If you're doing these vertical things, no more than 4 inches apart, 3 inches is better. And that will prevent most birds from hitting the windows because they can see that there's something there that they can't fly through. Another thing you can do is Bird Feather Friendly sells tape. You have 4-inch dots. They can have 1/4-inch dots that are spaced on a pattern 2x4, and you basically tape the tape and you fasten it across the window, and then you rub on the individual dots, then you peel the tape off and it leaves the dots behind. Again, that should be on the outside of the window, not on the inside. And that's also very effective in reducing bird deaths. New buildings, commercial buildings especially, American Bird Conservancy rates the effectiveness of bird-friendly glass treatments, and you can go on there and find all kinds of things that work from various companies. And there are more and more companies that are offering bird-friendly glass. And what that is typically is dots that are either etched or otherwise placed on the outside surface of their glass. And so it's bird friendly from the moment you put the glass up throughout the rest of its life. We have originally heard complaints that bird friendly glass is too expensive to do. Well, one of the people on our advocacy committee who's working on this project with us is an architect who has actually created buildings with bird friendly glass. And she has talked with some companies that have installed bird-friendly glass recently, and the cost of the glass, it's an increase of about 7%, but the cost on the overall cost of the building is typically less than 1% increase in the cost of the building to add bird-friendly glass. DC has enacted legislation to require bird-friendly glass on new and renovated buildings. One of the things we've done, one of the things we've done at NVBA is we started talking with Fairfax County staff. They're having this update to their policy plan, which they do every several years. And we talked with them about whether they were interested in adding bird-friendly glass to their Green Buildings Initiative, which is what they have for companies that are builders who want to get zoning waiver variances. And so I won't say we claim complete credit for it. We talked with them, and their latest draft, actually it's been in their earlier draft as well, has guidance. And one of the things you can do for get bird friendly green building certification is to add bird friendly glass for lighting as well as windows or fenestration, so that they can get their credits. We are also doing a completely long shot thing right now. We're in the process of finalizing an amendment to the Virginia Building Code to require bird-friendly windows under certain circumstances. We don't have much chance of success. We tried this on a smaller effort basis 3 years ago, and we heard a lot of stuff about, well, it's too expensive to do that. Well, costs have gone down. We have better information on cost now, and a 1% increase or less than 1% increase in your building costs to make it bird friendly and avoid some of these disasters that have happened, or even worse, being forced to retrofit your buildings at huge additional expense. We think it's worth it. So we're trying. We don't think it will succeed, but we will probably or hopefully convince more people that this isn't a ridiculous idea. And maybe the next time we'll succeed. We'll see. We'll try. So our third issue is restore the night. And this has to do with light pollution. Now, this is a composite photo of the United States at night taken from the space station. Now, I had never known until I saw this picture that the state borders show up from space, but there they are. Okay, that was a joke. Nobody's laughing. Anyhow, you can see what the situation is, especially in the east, and look at that corridor from DC further up into New York area. Light pollution is increasing by almost 10% per year in the United States. And it's getting worse and worse, and the problems are getting worse and worse. And we know that the observatory in Great Falls there's been success in getting a restriction on the lighting in the area around that observatory, which is great. I know there are also efforts to create that or get that designated as a dark sky park, that area. Whether that's going to succeed, it's not sure, and whether it's going to last after those 44 additional buildings, 200 feet high or higher in Tyson's get built is another matter entirely. If they continue to look like Capital One and the JW Marriott building, I'm not all that optimistic that that'll work out. So what is the problem with lights? Well, let's talk about birds first, since I'm with the Bird Alliance. It disrupts birds' biological clocks. It changes the times when birds migrate, because one of the signals for migrating, not the only one, but one of the signals is the number of light hours of daylight. And if you have intense light around, it may make birds consider that it's not time to migrate less yet. The other thing is birds are restless at night with light. I mean, if you're hearing birds chirping at 3 a.m., it's partially because the lights are bright and it makes them think that it's early dawn. And so they wake up early. What happens when they wake up early? The same thing that happens to us if we wake up too early. They get restless, they get tired, they get cranky, they get irritable. They lose weight. There are studies that show that the birds in light areas tend to be lighter weight than birds in darker areas. They lay fewer eggs, and they have fewer birds that survive to leave the nest. There's even studies that show that light on developing birds, young birds, interferes with the development of their organs, making them much more likely to die if they leave the nest, much more likely to die soon after they leave the nest, because their organs, internal organs, are not properly developed. What else does light do? It affects the insects that the birds eat. Some of those insects avoid nighttime light areas, and so they're not going to be around during the daytime for the birds to eat them. Other insects are attracted by the lights, and then they get become prey for the nighttime predators. If I've left my front door light on in the night, every now and again I'll get a tree frog that plops right up there on the window glass, waiting for the insects that come by, attracted for the lights. Those insects that get eaten by the frog near the lights are not insects that are going to be eaten by birds and other things later on. Even plants get affected by excess light. One of the obvious things is it can affect the time in which they flower, which they produce seed, when they lose their leaves, when their leaves turn. And there are even studies that show that excess light on some species of trees causes the leaves to become thicker and more tough. And when they're thicker and more tough, they're harder for the insects to eat, so they lose their food value to the insects. And, E.O. Wilson said, answer the little things on which the whole world depends, something like that. Well, if we don't have our insects, we don't have birds, we don't have other things that eat those insects, we're destroying the food chain at the bottom. It's going to have ripple effects all the way up. So light pollution can disrupt absolutely the entire ecosystem if we don't fix it. What does it do to people? The obvious answer is, well, sleep disruption. I have a house guest today, and she was saying that her daughter is in a well-lit area, and they had to put blackout curtains up because she couldn't sleep at night. Her daughter couldn't sleep at night because of that. And we know that's a problem. So what happens then? You get fatigue. Light pollution has been shown to contribute to depression. We've got AMA studies on these things that make it clear that this is really an issue. It's not just bird-loving nutballs who talk about this. Diabetes, the AMA study also showed diabetes can increase with people who habitually have light pollution at night. And obesity. And even worse, it can actually affect hormone-influenced cancers. So it hurts everybody, people, plants, and all animals. And we come back to the fact that I say light pollution is increasing 10% per year. in the United States. So what can we do about it? One of the first things to be done is to make sure that any outdoor lights are properly protected. This includes not only their lights at home, but lights on the street. You can see the unacceptable lights typically were unshielded. Finally, more recently, the streetlight folks in Dominion, for instance, has been putting out lights that are, you'll see the bad ones there. No light goes above the highest point of the light bulb itself or the luminaire itself. But the better is, of course, fully shielded, which means you have lights much more narrowly focused than that. And of course, the best is to turn the blinking lights off or turn them down at least. So that is true for homeowners. Do you really need your outdoor lights on after 11 o'clock at night? Nobody else is coming to the door. Probably not. I'm seeing houses around here, these new mini mansions that are being built around here. One of them up the street a ways has giant, looks like fluorescent lights lighting up on either side of his door, as well as the standard over-the-top door light. And they're not shielded at all. The light is all escaping out into the atmosphere. We can all do our part by reducing the amount of light that we have escaping out. So color temperature is really, really important. And it's an increasing problem because of the number of LEDs that are out there now. You can go to the store and you can buy blue natural light, they call it. Well, that's with a color temperature of 5000 K. And it's a lot of blue light. And that high color temperature light has a very short wavelength. And the short wavelength light scatters into the atmosphere much more than more amber colored lights. And so it creates much more light pollution. It also creates much more glare and it reduces visibility. So the objective is to get to warmer lights, 3000 K and below, which are much less disruptive to people and animals and plants, and they provide better visibility as well. There is an organization in Texas that is working to educate people about this, and they have photos on their website showing how the standard outdoor lighting with the high color temperature lights and high intensity actually makes it more difficult to see what you need to see than the lower temperature lights and the lower wattage lights. If you ever go out with a flashlight at night, you know you can see everything that's in the cone of light really well. But anything that's outside the cone of light is essentially invisible to you. So what you want is lower intensity light and warmer light that allows you to see better all the kinds of things you want to see. There's also been studies that show that brighter lights do not reduce crime. It has not been really effective at all. It makes people feel safer, but they're not safer actually at all. So we're working to reduce light pollution. We're working on a couple of things. One is on a town by town basis, like Vienna or Fairfax City, for lighting ordinances that reduce light pollution, that put limits on what lights you're supposed to have. We have joined the Virginia Responsible Street Lighting Coalition, trying to convince Dominion Virginia Power, Dominion Electric, to offer better street lights. One of the things that even our county officials didn't necessarily know is that Dominion provides all of the lights, but there is an entity in between the county and Dominion that works with Dominion on the streets lights. And it's called the Virginia Electricity Purchasing Government Association. Fairfax County has 3 members on the board of directors for that organization. even one of our county supervisors said, don't come to me about the lights Dominion controls at all. Well, no, actually it's this VEPCA that works with Dominion to negotiate contracts for streetlights. And Fairfax County has 3 members on it and should be able to do something about it. So this Virginia Responsible Street Lighting Coalition is working to convince VEPCA, as they sign their new contract, their new 3-year contract with Dominion to take effect next year, to provide better information on the streetlights. Dominion was listing streetlights as being dark sky friendly when they didn't meet the dark sky friendly standards. They were not offering enough lower color temperature lights for people to choose them, and they weren't educating the government entities, which typically don't know anything, as we found even in Fairfax County, about what was available and what could be out there that could be done. And the problem is, as people are changing, as these areas are changing from the incandescent lights and the like to LEDs, it's way too easy to put in those really bright blue lights and cause incredible amounts of glare. So we're trying to work with them to improve them, to fix it. And we're also working with Dark Sky International and Dark Sky Northern Virginia to make sure people understand about the 5 principles for responsible outdoor lighting. First is useful. Those lights that are on either side of that front door in that house up the street, not useful. They need to be targeted. And that means if you really need an outdoor light, your garage door light should be shielded so it isn't sending light up into the atmosphere. So it's aimed down onto the driveway where you're going to be needing to drive. Or if you're going to have lights going up to your front door, that goes low level and controlled. Nobody's coming in your door after 11 o'clock at night or 10 o'clock at night, so put them on a timer, turn them off. And finally, warm colored. Make sure that you use lights that are amber instead of blue-white, and that will be much better for the light pollution issue. If you've got backyard lights that are out there for security, make sure that they're motion activated. And again, you can put them on a timer. If you want, you can put them on a timer so they aren't off on at all after a certain hour. But if you need them on a time, if you don't want the timer, at least make them motion activated. They're not any significant amount more expensive than the lights that are on all night. And they'll turn off when there's nothing out there. They work just fine. So that's what I've got. Thank you very much for your time, and I'll stop sharing and see if we've got people who want to talk about this issue. We could probably unmute people. Yeah.
I have a question about that Virginia Electrical Purchasing, what is it, Virginia?
Virginia Electricity Purchasing Government Agent Association, VEPCA.
Government Association?
Yes.
Association agent?
I'm sorry?
Did you say Virginia
Electricity Purchasing Governmental Association.
Okay, because we are constantly having problems out here in Great Falls with these streetlights going up, and I don't think they're, I agree with you, I don't think that they're meeting standards.
Yep.
And
not surprised.
And for you to say this thing about this Virginia Electricity Purchasing Government Association sounds fascinating, that they are the middle person. Is that it?
Yeah.
What?
They're the ones who do the negotiation with Dominion. It's not the county people themselves. And so we need to have our county people pressuring VEPCA to do it, get Dominion to do it right, to offer lighting options that are appropriate.
Wow, okay. And so Dominion then would then be required to purchase the types of full cutoff types of fixtures that would be more appropriate as streetlights.
Yeah. What VEPCA needs to do is to pressure Dominion to offer a better catalog.
Got
And
it.
also to actually educate people. I mean, Dominion is the business of selling electricity, whether it's through lights or whatever it is, they're selling electricity. But ideally, it's VEPCA who needs to pressure Dominion to offer better lighting choices. And we've been appalled when people talk with Dominion on this issue. The people who are supposedly working on this issue don't really understand the issue. They don't understand what's out there. They need to, Dominion needs to work harder at this because they're one of the ones who are responsible for the increasing light pollution.
So, and VEPCA is a state organization, not by county?
It's an association of localities, of governmental entities.
Okay, all right. I didn't mean to take a lot of time, but
No, that's fine.
it was really wonderful that you would, I've never even heard of this.
Yeah.
And we have a big push, we want to do more on improving the lighting and, well, this sounds really great, like maybe it might be an
Yeah,
avenue
well,
to start exploring.
Yeah, well, let's get your county supervisor engaged in this. I'm happy to help work with you on trying to push for this issue. As I said, we were actually, I was at a dark sky event last October, a year ago, and I won't embarrass the county supervisor who said, yeah, and lighting, street lighting, he said, don't blame the county. It's all Dominion. Well, no, it's not. He didn't know. So,
Interesting.
yeah.
Well, you have the same supervisor we have.
I'm sorry?
I said, you have the same supervisor we have.
Yes.
Yes,
Well,
okay.
this was not here in McLean.
Oh,
I see
okay.
Candace is asking, got a hand up.
Okay, thank you. This is,
Sorry,
Well,
I didn't mean to cut you off there. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
okay, well, that's really great. I'm not gonna monopolize. Other people have questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Candy.
It's not really a question, but this came up in EP. I don't know, Winnie, Lisa, that in Fairfax County, you can report lights that are pointing up in the sky and that are offensive, and they can be anonymous, and they'll come out and investigate.
Yes.
And Winnie, I think if you could, Lisa, put that address out again, maybe the Fairfax County. I think that would be great. And people, I've told people about this. You're kidding me? You can do that? I said, absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
It works. We had a light that was we're real near McLean High School, and there was a light on McLean High School that was off its foundation, and it was basically shining up into the sky. And I went over and I got the pole number off it, and I sent an email in, and within 2 days they had fixed it. But the problem with that is they're going to fix individual lights for individual complaints. And what we want to do is get them to not put those stupid high intensity overwatted lights up there in the first place. They have relatively inexpensive ways of controlling the lights so that the intensity dims as you get later in the night and as people get used to the nighttime sky. And so basically, I'm going to say the wattage, the luminosity of the light reduces over the course of the night. And that's great. That's what we need. So.
Great.
Okay.
Is it Bill or?
Yeah,
Bill.
Yeah, thanks for your talk, Tom. I've also had a couple of successes with the county calling in lights, and they are pretty responsive. I was wondering if you could show the Beth Axelrod email again. I didn't get it copied down.
Sure.
Because I think in some of these cases, like Capital One and the new Marriott sign, I almost think you're going to have to go collect the dead birds and, show them, do the Toronto thing. They may not, the argument may not reach them until they actually see, or have in hand a dead bird that was killed by their lights. But I would like to get her thing because I would like to get involved with that.
There, it's up on the screen right now.
Beth
Axelrod, all one word, at wildliferescueleague.org.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure. Yeah, I was too optimistic about this initially when we started working on this. I thought we can show all over the country birds fly into windows, and yeah, and people should just be able to accept that and not have to prove it again for each city. I mean, if DC is finding dead birds and they've gone with a lights out program as a result, why should we have to do the same thing? We know we got lots and lots of light. Well, it hasn't worked that way so far. So hopefully Beth will be able to start. Yeah, I don't want to find lots of dead birds, okay? But if that's what
Yeah.
it takes, yeah, we have to go out and look if they're out there.
Jerry?
Yeah, hey, Tom, I have a separate question, but first I just want to point out there's a question in the chat about how can VEPCA be contacted. So,
Oh,
and then I'll have a
the
separate question.
best way to contact VEPCA is through the members on the board of VEPCA. And I can send somebody, Winnie, I could send to you the names of the people from Fairfax County. There's one from the county, one from the school district, and one maybe from the parks. I'm not really sure, but we found there are 3 representatives, and we're. If I had a little larger bandwidth, I would have sent the letters already. But we have a letter drafted, and we've sent letters to Fairfax City, to Arlington County. I have not got my letters out to the Fairfax County people, but I can even send you a draft of the letter that we are about to send. Hopefully, I get that done in the next couple of days, and you can do similar sort of thing.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
What my question was, can you talk a little bit about the Bird Safe Nova partnership, who's involved in it, and what the different organizations do?
Okay. Well, I'll have to tell you, we started off with a partnership and they've sort of fallen by the wayside as time has gone on. Nominally, at least, Loudon Wildlife is on there. Friends of Dyke Marsh, the standard environmental organization. Faith Alliance for Client Solutions. Let me see if I can bring up my list of others. We had about 8, I think, organizations. Let me see here, hang on. You're not seeing my screen, are you? No?
No,
Good. Okay, that's good. I don't want you to. Let me just get up my Bird Safe Nova stuff here. Hang on.
I can bring it up for you if you want. I
No,
think
no.
you
That's
want,
all right. Here,
you want me to put it on the screen?
I'm almost there.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, well, this is not a great graphic. Loudon Wildlife, Nature Forward, Dark Sky Nova, Dark Sky Virginia, Friends of Dyke Marsh, Friends of Little Hunting Creek, and Friends of Huntley Meadows Park. They all have an interest in reducing certainly the light pollution. Obviously, there are no tall buildings in Dyke Marsh, but the thing is, if the bird dies in Tyson's, it's never going to get to Dyke Marsh. So that's why it's important that even the areas that are not directly implicated by bird window collisions or light pollution need to get involved in this. And those are the folks who are generally more environmentally concerned. So those are our groups. But yeah, I don't know what Loudon Wildlife has done recently. I know they were enthusiastic a year ago. I don't know what, I haven't seen what they've done yet.
So at this point, it's mostly a Northern Virginia Bird
It's us.
Alliance
It's mostly
initiative.
us, yeah.
Okay.
Again, if I had more people in the committee, if I had bigger bandwidth, if I could do this 36 hours a day instead of 24, it would be better, but we do what we can.
We wanted you to volunteer for us.
Oh, I tell you,
Darn,
I am basically a full-time volunteer right now.
I think. Join the group. I'm with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do we
I'll
have
be
other
tomorrow
questions?
morning. I'll be at Riverbend tomorrow morning doing a field trip.
Oh, what, that's wonderful. He works with Riverbend and then he also helps out at the observatory. So He might live in
Yeah.
McLean, but he's doing a lot out in Great Falls. That's so wonderful. Anybody else? Lisa?
Yeah, not so
Oh.
much a question. I wanted to brainstorm a little bit of like, how do we, within Great Falls, help move forward on these initiatives? What I think is interesting is the wildlife sanctuary. Like, there's a positive, like, we've planted native plants, and I've had people come up to me and say, like, that's so great, your garden looks great. And this one, is like avoiding a lot of negatives. So I was just kind of, as you were talking, I was trying to think of like, are there other angles we can try locally? Because like getting the code compliance number out there, that's gonna help, giving people the information and the resources and access to the lighting. But other simple things like the amber lighting, I think it just looks nicer. Like, could we get more amber lights downtown? It looks more old-fashioned, traditional, cozy. And just kind of show more of those positive examples of what it looks like. And then even I was looking at the dark sky approved lighting. I think they've improved a lot over the past few years of just the variety of lights that are available. Some of them look very nice.
Yeah.
So like there could be other ways to reach people. Because I live in the Turner Farm half-mile radius, and some of the reasons that people give me for keeping their lights on or having extra lights is security, or they just invested money in their lights and they want to keep them on. So
Yeah.
just trying to think of like other ways to reach people who may not be as motivated to act right now.
Yeah. Well, we have a flip that switch brochure flyer that we hand out to people. You could do something like that. I can send Winnie a link to this Texas group that has this video showing how much more effective lower intensity and lower color temperature lights are than the standard glaring lights. So Winnie, you want me to send that to you?
Yes.
I don't know whether you can, use that. And of course, if you have your newsletter and all that, you can do things with that too. Okay. Yeah, there's a couple of really good things out there about that just demonstrate exactly why it is that better lighting is actually not what people think it is, which is lots of high glare lights. All right, I can do that
It's a
hopefully
great
tomorrow.
idea. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, Lisa, that's good. Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Okay.
Bill, do you have another question?
Yeah, it's just a comment. Lisa brings up the spectrum. I think part of it was the technology, the development of LED technology. Blue was the first because it was the kind of the easiest to develop. And
Mhm.
part of the problem is, they sell it to you by saying you can illuminate the same area with less electricity, okay, with an LED light. And
Yep.
the problem is, people instead, they don't keep the illumination the same. They keep their electricity the same, and it ends up being brighter. And of course, blue light will scatter
It's blue.
farther. So
Yeah.
in the case of the Marriott sign, which was pointed out to me by local activists, I doubt we're not going to succeed in getting them to, turn it off completely. I think I would be better to go to the angle of trying to get a lower temperature light up
Mhm.
there. Does it have to be glary blue white, and go that route? They might be more susceptible to that. And, the Google building is next door and they change their lights all the time. The colors on that building are constantly changing, for various themes, red and green for Christmas and orange for Halloween and Ukraine and you name it, gay pride. So it's certainly, the technology is certainly there now. So,
Yes. They're much more much easier to find the lower color temperature lights than they
Yeah.
have been in the past. Yeah.
Are these buildings you're referring to, are they the ones over in off of Wheelie? Well, are these two buildings, are you talking about the ones over there by the Reston substation, subway?
Yeah, the Marriott,
Yeah.
which that building, that light, well, I was gone, but this summer it went on.
Right,
So,
right. It's got
that's
condos in it.
yeah,
Yeah, okay. Yeah, Candy and I were just over there last week. Yes, that's a new metropolis over there. Unbelievable. It's huge.
Oh, yeah, yeah, the
Wow.
Reston is amazing, yeah. It's gonna
Wow,
be
yeah.
another Tyson's.
which is why I want to sign up with Beth Axelrod. I mean, I can walk over there in 15 minutes.
Good.
It may not be possible now. There may still be construction walls around the building.
Mhm.
But sooner or later, it won't be a hard matter to walk over there and collect dead birds. And
Yeah.
that, I think, argument will maybe start to reach people.
That's good. I
Terry?
see
I
a
just-
question.
I-
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
Is there
no,
a
it
question?
was just a comment actually as well. Lisa, I thought your question was really excellent. What can this committee do to get what we learned tonight out to the larger population of Great Falls? And I thought you all did a great job of getting Betsy's presentation about the wildlife sanctuary program out last month with that top line, article right after the president's message in the monthly newsletter. And, maybe a little write-up about stating what the problem is and what people can do about it and some links to resources, if that can go out. I'm not trying to make more work for anyone, and I'm certainly not volunteering for anything yet, but to get a notice in the next newsletter, and maybe Tom, if you provided us some of those resources so we can get it out to all the Great Fallsians the beginning of next month, that would be great.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and
I
I'll
would
add
find it that-
too, one thing I noticed is we'll need to link to the dark sky approved list of lighting, because if you just Google dark sky lighting, it will give you results that aren't actually dark sky lighting. That's just a user problem that this issue has.
Yeah,
Because
Yeah.
then you could buy something that you think is right and it's not actually compliant.
It's as bad as plastics. What do you keep? What do you throw? What do you recycle? It's just the varieties are too overwhelming out there, and you look at one sign and go, okay, I'm fine, but
Yeah.
it's a lot to become an educated consumer
it is.
in all this
Let me
stuff.
see if I can find a good site for dark sky friendly lighting. It may be on Dark Sky International's site.
Yeah, I think the takeaway, especially for our members that don't have a lot of time, it's like, how do we make it as easy as possible
Yeah.
to take action on these things? And maybe it's buy
Mhm.
one native plant, change your light bulb, change one
Yeah.
light bulb to a
Yeah.
warmer color.
Easiest is to change the light bulb. Tougher if we were going to try to get everybody to retrofit all of their garage door lightings and front door lights and things like that. But
Yeah.
the other thing is to adding a timer to the anything that's
Yeah.
controlled by an extension cord. I'm seeing a question here in the chat. Is the county looking at stricter lighting restrictions for residential buildings? They are not at the moment. I know that Vienna is in the process of looking at its lighting. Fairfax City, I think, is. We haven't attempted to work on lighting ordinance for the county yet, but
Mm.
Well, there is a lighting ordinance. It's now about 25 years old. I helped work on it. Yeah, at the beginning of this, and it was the dawn of the LED era. So it needs to be revised, but it had at least lumen limits and full. They were aware of full cutoff and lumens. Color temperature hadn't really gotten into the conversation yet. So it
Yeah.
does need a lot of revision.
Mhm. Yeah. Anybody wants to help on that? That would be great. Let's see what we can do. So there's always a lot more to do. I
Yeah.
mean, and the problem, of course, is for NVVA and Advocacy Committee. There are so many other things to do too, I don't know if you know that osprey are starving to death in the lower Potomac because of overfishing of menhaden. we don't represent, we're not down in that area, but people are asking us to get involved and try to start pushing on fixing that. I mean, we've got just concerns with trails through protected state rare wetlands that we've been fighting for 2 years on. We got lots and lots of different issues that we're trying to deal with. This is just one of them. Data centers. Anybody want to help with data centers? That's an almost
Oh,
impossibility.
Yeah. Oh,
And we're going to gear up for a new legislative session, of course, once the election's over and we see who's going to control the House, the delegates, and the Senate and the governorship. We're going to be heavily involved with that. So we try to stay really pretty busy on all this stuff. So
absolutely. Wow.
You can buy light bulbs at Costco now that adjust the color temperature. They're LED, they look like the old style filament, but they're, and probably everyone here has them already. But again, that just shows, there's, for the average consumer, there are more options than there
Yeah.
used to be.
far more, yeah. Mhm.
And I'm sure the old IDA, the old Dark Sky International, definitely
Yeah.
had recommended lighting companies.
Yeah.
They were really as much concerned about ball fields as anything, and these companies would, craft responsible lighting for them.
Yeah, I keep waiting for them to retrofit the lights at the McLean High football field, which is just, we're just way too close to them. And I complained to one of the county supervisors about it. He said, "Oh no," he said, "we do all much more user-friendly lights on those." I said, "Yeah, what about McLean?" He said, "Well, that was one of the older ones. We haven't gotten there yet. Sooner or later they will." I mean, the county's at least aware of the issue for ball fields, which have huge amounts of glare into, even though they're hundreds of yards away, huge amount of glare into our windows. So, yeah, some people are aware of it. So, Okay.
Anybody else have any questions or such a rich conversation? It's really been great hitting on all these things that we've been talking about for years. Slowly but surely, at least we have a dark sky preserve
Yeah.
around a half acre. I mean, half mile radius.
right.
Gosh, Tom, this is a wonderful, wonderful presentation. Really terrific. Gonna have to have you back yearly to pump up everyone.
Hopefully I'll
Really.
have more optimistic statements to make in a year. Yeah, whatever.
Well,
I'm
it's
happy
a
to come back as needed.
baby
Yeah.
steps, as they say.
Yep,
More
that's it.
education, the better. Get even somebody in our group. I mean, you brought up so many interesting points. I really appreciate it. I've
Yeah, yeah.
taken a lot of notes.
Lot to deal with. Yeah.
So thank you so much,
Okay,
Tom.
you're welcome. I will
And
try
Jerry for
to.
bringing Tom to us.
Yeah.
That
really
was the easy
great.
part. I knew he'd do a great job.
Yes, really
Well, I will
terrific.
try to send to you, Winnie, information about the VEPCA representatives and also the Texas videos or any others I can find on
Yes,
lighting.
terrific.
And if there's anything else you think I could provide to you, let me know.
I will. Thank you, Tom. Let me see
Happy
what
to,
time of night are you getting slow? I'll shoot you an email 3 a.m. Oh, you're counting birds. Well,
I won't be counting birds. It's fine. But no,
okay.
I probably am not going to look at anything very serious after 9 o'clock-ish. But I get it
Okay.
started early in the morning too. So
Well,
yeah.
thank you very much, Tom.
Okay, you're welcome.
Really great and wow, terrific program.
Okay.
So we're going to
I'm glad I
talk about
could-
a few other things. You're welcome to
Okay.
stay here.
I will depart so I can go see my guest before she goes to bed.
Okay. Well, thank you, Tom.
Okay, sure thing.
Really
Okay.
terrific. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Thanks a lot,
Really,
Tom.
really, really
Appreciate
great.
it.
You're welcome.
Okay.